Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to thank my colleague for an excellent speech. Obviously, I agree with the Deschamps recommendations in the Arbour report to move sexual misconduct allegations out of the military justice system and into the criminal justice system. But I think the record of the Liberals in the criminal justice system, we've seen that sexual assault is up 76%, and that mostly these repeat offenders are let out on bail. And so my concern is that there won't be any justice in the criminal justice system. Does my colleague share that concern?
The honourable member for Selkirk Interlake Eastman.
Well, as I said, both Bill C-75 that reduces the conditions on the principle of restraint, allowing those that commit sexual offences to be released on bail very easily, allows them to be repeat offenders. So that now will permeate into the Canadian Armed Forces as well because of the soft on crime approach that has been taken by the Liberals. And on Bill C-5, they got rid of a lot of our mandatory minimums, and so repeat sexual offenders can now actually serve their sentences at home. That includes sexual assault, sexual exploitation, and sexual interference. And so what is the purpose then if those that are committing these crimes are allowed to continue to serve in the Canadian Armed Forces at their leisure?
Comments, the honourable member from Moncton Dieppe.
Much, Mr. Speaker. I want to first of all take a moment, I guess, to thank my colleague for his speech today. But I have to say, during his remarks today, he mentioned about talking the talk. Having worked with victims of crime for over 23 years before I became a parliamentarian, I've seen firsthand the impacts of sexual violence on many victims. And today I was really hoping to hear, and I was listening attentively, to hear comments talk about how important it is to have a trauma-informed response, talking about the rights of victim. And instead we heard partisan, garble. I think if many victims are at home today listening to us, they would be extremely disappointed with the debate that's been going on with respect to that. My simple question with respect to the member is, does he not agree that Bill C-11 is an important step forward and that, again, we want to make sure that victims have access to justice?
Member for Selkirk Interlake Eastman.
Well, I did say during my speech that victims deserve justice, and sexual and military trauma is one thing that we have to eliminate, and the support is needed. We support the Sexual Misconduct Support and Resource Centre and the great work that they're doing, providing counselling, and as well as now they're going to be moving into providing some legal advice as well to those victims. Victims' rights have to be paramount. That's why we supported Bill C-77 when that came through to address making sure that we codified the victim's rights from the criminal code and moved it into the National Defence Act as part of military justice. So we'll continue to fight for victims because that's what this is all about. But that's why I raised the flag that can we trust this government who have ignored victims' rights for all too long by letting the repeat offenders back out on our streets, which now is going to permeate within the Canadian Armed Forces as well.
Prince George.
Mr. Speaker, thank you to our honourable colleague. I know he's done a considerable amount of work on this. Mr. Speaker, I sat through a lot of testimony when I served on the National Defence Committee and Veterans Committee as well too. And some of the testimony all the testimony was absolutely horrific and hard to hear. Many of the victims are still in CAF as we speak, and as they brought their cases forward, their complaints forward, I guess the question I have through you, Mr. Speaker, to our honourable colleague, is how do we ensure that these victims are protected under current CAF structures now when they bring these accusations forward?
Member for Selkirk Interlake Eastman.
Mr. Speaker, I want to thank my friend and colleague for that question because it has been a problem. We know that when there was complaints run against it was actually full Admiral Art MacDonald, that those that brought forward the complaints were reprimanded by their superior officers. We know that they were coerced and were scared to come forward, and it took, in some cases, years before they did. We did create a safe place, allowing them at committee to come and speak and share their stories, or there was no opportunity for retribution by their superior officers. This is one of the reasons that we are supporting parts of C-11, is to make sure that we can take parts of this out of the chain of command and allow victims to be able to stand on their own 2 feet without fear of repercussions.